Coach Phil again, uh, back at you with another video. This one, of course, picking up current events. I kind of want, I guess, to address this to the what would be considered a black issue, which it really shouldn't be, but it is. Um, and so, to my fellow black people, and yes, I say black. Please don't call me African American. Unless you're from Africa and you're now American, you're not African American. Okay, I don't. That's another one of those politically correct terms I really don't like, and it actually serves to divide us even more. I'm a naturalized citizen. Wasn't born in America. I had to take an oath to be an American. And that might be why, those of us who've done that know a little bit more about the United States history and the Constitution, because we had to study it and it's fresher in our minds, I suppose. And public school now, they don't even teach that stuff. But I digress. I want to address the issue of racism now in this country. It's spread all over the world now. Again, with this global thing. Racism. Vocabulary is important. You need to know. Words have meanings. They have meaning. That's why we use them. But if you really aren't very good with your vocabulary, or maybe even fluent in your own natural language, then you could end up saying something or repeating something that you really don't mean to. Racism. I can't breathe, right? That's the latest. Do you remember that? First time I heard that was with Eric Garner. Store owner called. The police. Police show up en masse and choke a man, effectively choking a man to death, or squeezing the air out of him. And we know what became an issue? Splitting hairs. Did he choke him? Was he a chokehold? That wasn't a chokehold. Well, and the man's of course, the police are always found innocent. George Floyd. I can't breathe. Policeman, if you want to call him that, knee on his neck, asphyxiating the man effectively, and of course, the first say, oh, well, medical report. Oh, well, that's not what you got. Yes, it is. Anyway, racism is the word thrown and bandied about. Please, black people, let's just to stop and think. Are we being used? Are we? Remember the whole coronavirus thing I had said in my previous video? That had nothing to do, all these measures that we're dealing with have nothing to do with a virus. And anyway, let me ask you, how many viruses are there? You don't want to spread the virus. Stop the spread. Can't catch the virus. Don't want to give each other the virus. The virus. You get sick and start coughing. What is it? What do you think you're going to hear? COVID-19? Rhinovirus? Anybody ever heard of that? And there's more than one virus. But the way things are in the world now, any cough, sneeze, or hiccup or fever you get is going to be called coronavirus. Well, now let's look here. Racism. The man, white man, kneeling on the neck of a black man in order to kill him. Is that a racist act? No, it is not a racist act. That is an act of murder. But what do you hear the politicians and the media say? They say the killing of George Floyd, not the murder of George Floyd. Okay? There's a reason why they use these words. Know your vocabulary. That'll help us to not be so used. Just like the politicians. I remember I was very young when LBJ helped to push through the Equal Opportunities Act. I forget what it was called now. But that helped to make sure the black vote was going to go to one party. As he kind of said it, for the next 50 years. Well, it's been more than that. Why do you do that? Well, you got to vote for the party that's for the people. When have they been for you black people? When the first politicians in this country, the black ones that were elected to office, the black ones were not from the party with the D, people. Why did it change? What happened? Oh, the D is so much more benevolent. The black lives do not matter to those people. It's not about the black lives that matter. It's not racism. That's the problem. Racism is a system, just like communism. capitalism, socialism. What you're talking about is bigotry, right? But the fact that a perpetrator is white and the victim is black does not make it racist. It's murder. Murder is murder. Call it murder, because you lose the argument when you mislabel it. And what happens? Here comes Van Jones. You remember that name from the past? About 2009, 2010. He used the term, an avowed card-carrying communist looking to change the whole system. That's what he said. That was his gesture too. We got to change the system. We got to change the whole system. That's what the man said. And so he said, what we need to do is incorporate a method called bottom up, top down, inside out. Bottom up, top down, inside out. He said to the audience, you people, you got to control the middle and the bottom. Stir things up. The government will got the top to come down, and then we change the whole thing and turn it inside out. Black people, are you being used as part of that strategy? Why do you think Black Lives Matter shows up organized all over the place? Because they don't want to see bad things happen to black people. Police officers that murder black people wear the uniform or costume that says, it doesn't even say on there anymore that they protect and serve. You assume they protect and serve you. They protect and serve their masters, the ones who pay them, not us. The government pays them with the money that they stole from us, but another topic. Listen, don't end up being used. The white people that are out in the street, baby, I won't even say out in the street, that are home, afraid to go out in the street, are not necessarily your enemies. I don't necessarily trust any police officer, but guess what? There are black police officers too that kill black people. Call it murder. I mentioned I took an oath. They took an oath. They violate that oath when they commit murder. That's the issue. That's the argument that you can use. But this racism thing, understand what the word means. You're not helping any black people, me included. You're really not. When you're talking about racism, Black Lives Matter. Listen, all lives matter. My cat's life matters. If your problem is with murdering innocent people, then call it that. Don't throw this Black Lives, because see, now you've obfuscated the whole term. And what you've done is played into the hands of the government, who is more than happy to bring the top down on your protest. And then they turn everything inside out. You now have new laws. You're not allowed to do this, that, the other thing. You thought Rosa Parks sat down and refused to stand up to make advancement? You're throwing it all away. What did they do then? They banded together and stopped using certain services. Well, now I'm not going to advocate for any of that, but I'm saying use the brain in your head. I'm not for protest necessarily. No. I didn't put Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. He took a knee. Yeah. I stopped watching the NFL, not because they wouldn't hire Colin Kaepernick, but because they made the NFL political. Think about this. Colin Kaepernick, right? Took a knee. Everybody, the country tore it apart. Let me ask you this. Before Colin Kaepernick, when did the NFL or the television, whatever TV shows, channel had it on, televise the national anthem? It was televised for the Super Bowl. All of a sudden now, every game where there's Colin Kaepernick, and eventually it became every black player in the NFL, well, that's all the NFL, now they start televising the national anthem because it's controversy. They're looking for ratings, and you played right into it. Now you got people want to black out their shirts. Stop watching anyway. You're not helping the cause. And now with all your coronavirus tyrannical governors around, you're not going to be able to go to the stadium anyway. So quit watching. Don't feed the beast. I often wondered if those people held an election and nobody came, what would they do? Well, you got to choose one or the other. Yeah, well, listen, why? This one's bad and that one's bad. Well, you got to choose the lesser of two evils. Listen here. If you're choosing the lesser of two evils, you've still chosen evil. With that, I'm out. Think, please. Let's all think. We don't need to think about what divides us and makes us separate. We're all human. We have human rights. Forget the constitutional rights. It's only as long as the government agrees to listen to it. Well, they've torn it up, so human rights. True God-given rights. Let's think about that. In the meantime, may you please have peace. I'm out until next time. Bye-bye.